can anyone possibly hate Superman? Welcome back, Nerd Squad. It's me, Amanda. You should stick around to find out as we count down the top 10 superheroes who hate Superman, if you can believe it. You won't believe who takes our #1 spot. I know, I was like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that is true. Number 10, Green Arrow. Green Arrow is sometimes known to take issue with Superman in the sense that he feels the hero is far too powerful to really connect with humanity, seeing him as somewhat dangerous and aloof. This makes some sense when you consider that Oliver Queen, in contrast to Superman, is very much a street-level superhero, quite literally a Robin Hood of sorts. Although there is irony in this kind of concern coming from Queen, considering that Ollie is also not quite your commonplace man of the people in regards to his station in life and usually, you know, the vast wealth connected with his name. In Dark Knights of Steel, however, this criticism makes quite a bit more sense, with the medieval Green Arrow of this universe being a commoner in contrast to King Jor-El and his son Prince Kal-El, and this version of Ollie is not afraid to showcase his thoughts when it comes to the tyrannical hold he feels the House of El has on the kingdom. Oliver Queen coming for the royals. And friends, before we move on to our next spot on this list, if you love what we do here at Top 10 Nerd, and if you love when we talk about superhero beef, be sure to let us know by giving this video a thumbs up. Or if you just like when I say superhero beef. Number 9, The Flash. Hate might be a strong word to describe the tension between Superman and Barry Allen's The Flash, although if you know me, you know that for me, hate is always a strong word. Instead, I would say these two have more of a rivalry, if you will, often racing one another, and with The Flash kind of gloating that he's simply too fast for Superman to catch. Barry's always like, no one can touch me, I'm the fastest man alive, which makes Barry somewhat of a perfect match, you'd think, for the Man of Steel. Of course, this claim hasn't always been true, has it? There are times the two have been forced to fight against one another, and Superman has actually managed to get his hands on Barry, or at least his finger. While it hasn't always worked out in his favor, especially if he's going up against Superman, the Flash sometimes feels as though his way of dealing with crime is somewhat superior to Superman's, or at the very least that it is somewhat oddly underappreciated by his fellow Justice League member Kal-El. Number 8, Martian Manhunter. What's Martian Manhunter's beef with Superman? Well, nothing super specific, to be honest. It's more like a hodgepodge collection of things that have contributed to some tension between the two superheroes over time. It's less that Martian Manhunter hates Superman, and more that they occasionally do butt heads. For the most part though, John Johns tends to be a pretty calm, cool, and collected type, and isn't prone to striking out against his colleagues. That's just not who he is. However, it also has been shown that he is somewhat jealous of Superman, and resents the love that people show for Clark over him. At least that seems to be what is implied when he returns as a Black Lantern after dying, as showcased during the Blackest Night event in issue number 44 of the 2005 Green Lantern series. It's like literally lifting buildings up and being like, I'm as strong as Superman. I don't know, seems like he's got some issues, but he doesn't want to talk about them when he's alive, only when he's a Black Lantern. Number 7, Booster Gold. Another hero who would probably be a lot less timid when it comes to his dislike of Superman, or rather the praise that Superman often gets in comparison, is Booster Gold. For Booster, his jealousy probably comes from more of a place of insecurity than Martian Manhunter's jealousy. I don't think John is necessarily insecure, but he's more like deep down, rightfully kind of frustrated that he's constantly living in the shadow of another alien superhero who he feels, you know, he's on a similar level to. And honestly, while Martian Manhunter might not be as popular with comic book fans in comparison to Superman, based on what I know at least of his power set, I would agree. Booster Gold already comes with self-esteem issues right out of his origin. He became a hero in an attempt to redeem himself, so I mean, of course, he's not going to be the most secure about his status as a hero. And add in the fact that he is often the butt of people's jokes in the DC universe and is not taken as seriously as a hero, and it makes sense that he'd have some disdain for Superman and all the love the hero receives by comparison. Number 6, Shazam. Typically, Shazam, aka the formerly known Captain Marvel, aka Billy Batson, is often portrayed as someone who looks up to Superman. Although that isn't to say that they don't have their moments where they do kind of compete against each other, because, well, I mean, as fans, we like to be like, who's more powerful? In the Injustice universe though, despite following Superman, at one point Shazam also tries to act as a voice of reason when he actually kind of questions Superman's judgment. Seeing this as a challenge to his authority though, Superman reacts pretty dramatically by basically killing Shazam, focusing his heat vision on Shazam's eyes until his head basically melts. Sounds like a pretty terrible way to go, not gonna lie. Looks like a pretty terrible way to go in that comic too. Number 5. Hercules. Calling Hercules a hero is somewhat debatable. It kinda depends on which period in this history we're referring to. In the early days though, Hercules was definitely marketed as a hero. In fact, while I'm more familiar with him as somewhat of a villain in Amazonian history, he initially was portrayed as being a captive of the Amazons held against his will, who simply tricked Hippolyta into giving him her girdle so he might escape imprisonment. Although, then he also took it out on the Amazons, that whole thing, and that's a whole other thing. Even back then, he really did seem to hate the Amazons. Although perhaps in that story with some good reason, since, he was their prisoner. With Superman, his hatred of the hero came from a love of Lois Lane, when Hercules found himself transported to the future, Superman's present day in the 20th century. However, this brief encounter likely wouldn't be remembered by Hercules today, since he was kinda made to forget all about it when he traveled back to his own time. So yeah. But that was the thing, he loved Lois Lane for a minute. Number 4. Green Lantern. Guy Gardner once had his own series where he decided to actually pick a fight with Superman. And this actually wasn't the first time these two would fight either. For Guy, this was a rematch that he wanted because the last time they fought, Superman basically trounced him. Although we often know him as the hero Green Lantern, this was during a time when Guy was actually wearing a yellow ring, having powered up his ring through fighting Green Lanterns, which is how it seems to charge, at least here. Guy heads to Earth to fight against Superman. However, even Guy finds it challenging to commit to a battle against Supes. You see, right around this time, the Justice League was also kind of fighting Doomsday, so Guy ultimately heads to Earth to fight Superman, and then ultimately ends up joining in the fight against Doomsday. And if you've heard of the Death of Superman storyline, I think you know how that all goes. Not very well for almost everyone involved, because Doomsday is insane. Number 3. Wonder Woman. In the Superman Red Sun universe, Wonder Woman actually starts out as an ally of Superman's and even falls in love with him. So, where does it all go wrong here? In the Red Sun universe, we explore a world where Superman is actually an agent of the Soviet Union, having landed there instead of in America when he fell to Earth. Wonder Woman and Superman are involved in a relationship that is mainly fueled by politics, uniting both the strength of the Soviet Union with that of Themyscira and the Amazons. However, when Superman is taken prisoner by his world's Batman, Wonder Woman rushes in to save him. In the end, this rescue attempt costs her pretty dearly, with Wonder Woman being forced to break her lasso after being restrained by it, and therefore as a result losing her immortality and her eternal youth. Despite initially loving Superman, because of this, Wonder Woman's love turns to, well, kinda hate, and she never really fully forgives him for what happened to her as a result of his own capture. Number 2. Batman. Batman and Superman are often known for being best friends in the main continuity. I mean, Clark was asked to be Bruce's best man at his wedding. The wedding to Selena Kyle, aka Catwoman, which of course ended up not really happening and getting called off, but still, this just goes to show how close the two of them are. So how could Batman hate Superman? Well, in an alternate reality known as Injustice, or Injustice Gods Among Us, full title, Superman ends up becoming a ruthless tyrant after losing Metropolis and his family, Lois Lane, and their future child together. What's worse was Superman was the one to take Lois's life, thanks to the machinations of Joker and Harley Quinn. This causes Superman to snap, killing the Joker and setting out to control the world in response, starting a full-out, unforgiving war on crime. Batman, however, in this universe, disagrees with Clark's approach, seeing him for what he is, a controlling and unforgiving tyrant, who has been basically driven mad with power as a result of his loss. This causes a divide between the two, with Batman gathering his own team to combat Superman and the heroes who follow him. Number 1. Black Canary. I forgot about this one, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one. Also, thank you to Adam for the suggestion when I was asking for some folks to give me some ideas, because this list stumped me a bit. I was like, but everyone loves Superman. Except for me, I guess. I find Superman to be a little boring, but obviously I haven't read the right Superman stories, I think. Black Canary has some pretty big and honestly understandable beef with Superman in the Injustice universe. Like many heroes, Black Canary is one of those who stands against Superman, attempting at one point to help defeat him. And she actually does like pretty good too, I gotta say. However, unlike some of the other superheroes who rally against Clark in this universe, for Black Canary, her hatred of the Man of Steel is quite personal, because he took from her the one man she loved, Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, which also makes this battle between them like a lot more intense in a good way. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, you stay nerdy, YouTube.